He has access to diplomatic cables. He's underpaid. His government just cut his pension. You engineer a meeting, a diplomatic reception. You position yourself near him. You make conversation. You're charming. You're interested in his work. You buy him a drink. You meet again, accidentally, at a restaurant you know he frequents. What a coincidence. A friendship develops. Dinners. Drinks. You listen to his complaints about his government. You sympathize. You agree that his talents are underappreciated. This takes months, sometimes years. You can't rush it. One wrong move, and he reports the contact to a security service. Then you're burned. Maybe expelled from the country. Maybe worse. Every meeting is choreographed. The location, the timing, the conversation topics, the gradual escalation from casual acquaintance to trusted confidant. You study him like a science project, his habits, his weaknesses, his fears, his ambitions. You know what he eats for breakfast. You know his children's names. You know his wife's birthday. He thinks you're friends. You're a predator who's learned to look like a companion. You call it a developmental, a relationship being developed for recruitment. The pitch comes when the time is right, over dinner, after drinks, when the trust is established. I have friends who would value your perspective. They would compensate you generously for your insights. That's how you say it. You don't say spy for America. You don't say betray your country. You say share your perspective and be compensated. He hesitates. He asks questions. He's scared. He says yes. You just recruited your first asset, a human being who will risk imprisonment or death to give you information. You feel elated. This is what you trained for. You also feel something else, something darker. You just manipulated a vulnerable person into committing treason. You used his loneliness, his financial stress, his wounded pride. You befriended him knowing the friendship was fake. Every dinner, every drink, every sympathetic nod was calculated. You were never his friend. You were his handler. He thinks you care about him. You care about what he can give you. Is there a difference? You tell yourself there is. You tell yourself you're protecting him, that the money helps his family, that you'll get him out if things go wrong. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's just another lie. You're getting very good at lies. You don't think about that part for long. You can't afford to. The mission comes first. Always. Level 4, the operator. 3 years in, second posting, harder target country. The opposition's counterintelligence is better here. Smarter, more aggressive. You're running multiple assets now. Each one requires separate handling, separate communication channels, separate meeting protocols. You never meet an asset the same way twice. Never the same location, never the same time, never the same route to get there. Every meeting is preceded by a surveillance detection route. 2 hours minimum, walking, driving, switching vehicles. Making absolutely sure no one is watching before you go anywhere near your asset. Because if they're watching, your asset dies, not gets arrested. Not goes to prison, dies. Some of these governments don't bother with trials. A black van pulls up, the person disappears, their family gets a phone call a week later, or they don't even get that. You've seen the reports. What happens to people caught spying for the Americans? Interrogation methods that make waterboarding look like a day spa. Executions that take days. Your asset is trusting you with their life. Every single meeting, every single time. That's why tradecraft isn't optional. It's not a suggestion. It's the difference between your asset going home to their family and your asset going into a hole in the ground. You take it seriously, deadly seriously, because it is. The pressure is constant. You live a double life inside a double life. To the embassy, you're a diplomat. To your assets, you're a friend. To yourself, you're not sure what you are anymore. You start to lose track of which version of you is real. The charming diplomat at the reception. The cold professional running an asset meeting at midnight. The person who goes home to an empty apartment and stares at the ceiling. Your personal relationships suffer. How could they not? You can't tell your girlfriend what you do. You can't explain the late nights, the sudden trips. The phone that buzzes at 3 a.m. and sends you out the door without explanation. Where were you? Working late. You're always working late. She leaves. They always leave. The job doesn't allow for honesty, and relationships don't survive without it. You make peace with it. Or you pretend to. The loneliness is the part they don't mention in recruitment. The absolute bone-deep isolation of living a lie every minute of every day. You can't call your mom and tell her about your day. You can't grab a beer with a friend and vent about work. The only people who understand your life are the people in the station, and even with them, you compartmentalize. You develop a talent for surface-level relationships. Friendly with everyone. Close to no one. The life of the party who goes home alone. It's useful for the job. Terrible for everything else. The intelligence you're collecting is good. Your assets are producing. Cables go back to headquarters. Analysts turn raw intelligence into finished products. Policymakers read them. Decisions get made. You're invisible in the process. Your name appears nowhere, but the information you risk your life to collect is shaping foreign policy. You learn something at this level that they don't teach at the farm. The people you recruit are real people. They have families, children. They're terrified. One of your assets, a military officer, meets you in a park at midnight. He's shaking. His security service called him in for questioning. Routine, they said, but nothing is routine. They know. I'm sure they know. They don't know. If they knew you wouldn't be here, you'd be in custody. You calm him down. You reassure him. You tell him everything is fine. You're not sure everything is fine, but you need him to keep producing. So you say what he needs to hear. That night you send an urgent cable to headquarters. Possible compromise. Recommend extraction plan. Headquarters says wait. The intelligence is too valuable. Keep running him. You keep running him. Level 5. The senior officer. You've been doing this for a decade. 3 postings. Dozens of assets recruited and handled. Commendations that sit in a classified file no one will ever read. You're good at this. Maybe the best in your division. You've never lost an asset. You've never been caught. You've never made the kind of mistake that ends careers. Now you're running operations, not just assets. Teams of case officers, working under your direction. Multi-country operations targeting the hardest intelligence problems. Nuclear proliferation. Terrorism. Hostile intelligence services. You plan operations that take months to execute. Planting listening devices in a foreign embassy. Recruiting a source inside a terrorist network. Stealing the plans for a weapon system that threatens your country's security. The stakes are higher. The consequences of failure are catastrophic. An operation goes wrong in a denied area. No embassy. No diplomatic cover. An officer is on the ground with nothing but a fake passport and a cover story.